She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. I know that today you're going to be inspired. You really are. And I know you probably have heard me say that, hundreds of times, depending on how many times you've listened to the show, but you really get ready because I'm going to introduce you to two guests that are going to blow your mind. Number one, with their transparency of where their life was, what they've had to walk through to get to where they are today. Really important steps that they took to be able to improve their lives. I don't know if you have found yourself that wife that's just kind of stuck in a rut, doesn't know how to break free from it, and actually is kind of living the facade. Things look pretty good. Things are doing all right. And then all of a sudden, here it comes like, whoa, I couldn't be further off track. That's exactly where Taryn Leiker found herself when she first came in contact with us 1 year ago this coming month, at the end of the month. It's been a year since she tapped into First Steps to Success, our 3-day training seminar that trains you with all the skills you didn't get growing up, all the skills that you should have gotten in school and in your university education, as well as in the home, but chances are you might have gotten a few of them, but you certainly didn't get all of them concerning your career, work life, your finances, and relationships at home and at work. And Taryn has been getting herself trained, and it has changed everything in her life. Taryn, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's an honor. I'm so grateful to be able to share.
Yes, you look so beautiful. I love the set. You're joining us via Skype. Man, that is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. James designed the barn door behind me, and I just love it.
So you and your husband, James, have been married for how long?
We have been married for 10 years now.
Okay. And how many kids?
Two. We
kids.
have a 12-year-old daughter, Reese, and an 8-year-old son, Channing.
Okay. So when you first heard about First Step Success, actually, you told me the very first time you ever heard about it, you happened to have been attending a conference in the same hotel that First Steps was happening. And some passerby, you had asked some passerby, it wasn't one of our clients attending the event, but tell us what they told you.
It was interesting because we were walking by and, going to the bathroom, and I said, I wonder what this is all about. And they said, oh, well, these people actually, they've just been totally duped. They paid $5,000 each from some self-proclaimed expert, and I just feel bad for them. And I just remember thinking, oh, that's terrible.
And then, which I think is so funny. And so that's what the passerby said to you, that they thought who I was and who this seminar was about, which is hilarious because it's nothing further from the truth. Talk about assuming. But then how did you hear about us again?
Well, I had a friend, a business coworker that basically called from First Steps in Orlando and said, I thought I was going to learn so much about business, but I have learned in every aspect of my life. You and James really need to go. And when they were going, I was like, you paid $5,000 for this? And they said, no, who told you that? And I was like, all right. So I got some misinformation. And just hearing the excitement in their voice, I knew that we had nothing to lose. And if we even got one nugget, we had everything to gain.
Mm-hmm. And so you guys came, and that was a year ago at the end of this month. And what has happened?
Well, do you want me to go over where we were before?
Yeah, sure.
Just to give you an idea, basically, I came from a divorced family. I was raised by whoever was available. I wound up in jail as a 2-year-old, multiple ambulance rides because they weren't always in the best of situations. And at 7 years old, I actually got kicked out of my house, which turned out to be a blessing because my grandmother took me in, and it was such an amazing thing because she actually taught me boundaries. She taught me that if I followed the rules, all would go well. And that was such a powerful statement for me. But because of my good behavior, I earned my way back into my home, and it was just not a good situation. And so I was out of control, looking for acceptance, looking for love in all the wrong places. And as a 6th grader, the people that accepted me were sexually active, on drugs. And unfortunately, you can only not become who you hang around with for so long. And so as a high schooler, that turned into an eating disorder and suicidal, and dating people that did not understand a woman's value in any way, shape, or form. Not that I was presenting myself with any worth anyway. Wound up, thank God, dating James, but found myself pregnant 4 months later with our daughter. And I delivered her on my first day of college classes. And I remember thinking, James is so much smarter than me. He's already going for his master's. The only thing that I can really do to contribute in any way, shape, or form is just to start to work because I'm already so far behind. And so I dropped out of school and just began to kind of work my way up in a very small community. And so it was interesting because, I had been able to work my way up, earn $32,000, putting 3 jobs together. So I didn't lack the work ethic.
Yeah.
But I sat there and I'll never forget thinking I was designed and destined for more. I cried. I was absolutely devastated when Princess Diana died. And I'll remember this forever because I was 9 years old. And I remember thinking, not feeling sorry for her kids, not feeling sorry because she was a celebrity, but I remember just bawling because I said, who is going to use their fame to bring awareness to the kids in Africa? Who is going to take that influence and actually do something good with it, not something superficial? And I was just devastated as a 9-year-old. So I knew there was more, but I had no idea what that was. And my husband and I were absolutely just broke, paycheck to paycheck. And I'll never forget because he didn't know our financial situation. He was doing everything as a man to provide it, and I didn't want to stress him out with the reality of the facts. But I remember crying when he would go and spend $30 at Home Depot because that would put us behind for 3 months. Wow. $30. Wow. And he had no idea. He's like, look what I built you today. And I wanted to say, wow, amazing skills. Thank you. But I just remember looking forward to happy hour at Sonic every Thursday for $1.65.
Wow.
And that's what got me through the week. And I cried out to God, and I didn't know who he was. I was like, you know what? Everybody else cries out to you, so I might as well try this. Nothing else is working. So I cried out to him and I said, why do I have all these deep desires and yet there is no proof or evidence that they are going to be used? Yeah. And it wasn't long after that we started a business, and in our first year had earned $255,000.
Wow.
And 4 years later, that was $1.4 million. And I remember thinking, with that Home Depot, $25,000 in credit card debt, financing our house, our cars, our furniture, computers, everything that they would allow you to finance, carpet, everything we financed, thinking that as soon as we had money, everything would be fixed.
Yeah.
And it was such a lie, such a lie. And, with our success came recognition. Uh-huh. I'd never heard well done. And so with all this fame, unfortunately, I didn't have the character and ego, pride, jealousy, the scarcity mindset that brings out intense competition and just a lot of fear. So that business, I wound up working 80 to 100 hours a week. I avoided my kids because I had retired my husband, which was terrible, emasculating him, had no idea what the repercussions of that would be. But I remember thinking he's a better mother than I could ever be. Wow. So the best thing I can do is just avoid. Not kidding. Like he was. So
hold on a second.
Seriously.
That is shocking. Because there's so many women that are like you that think like that too. You know what I mean? That my husband would make a better mother than me. So we drown ourselves in our careers, chasing money and enjoying the recognition that your manufacturer or the company or whoever it is, that your clients or whoever it is that, your employees, wherever it is that you're getting your recognition from, your feeling of importance, your feeling of accomplishment. Yet God planted 2 babies in your womb and gave you the highest calling on earth. Yet so women find themselves where you were, feeding off of the drug of greed and recognition. And demoting your husband, the head of the house, to motherhood. That is wild. How did he feel? And when that transition happened, what was your respect level for him?
If you would have asked me back then what my respect level was, I would have praised him and would have edified him in that role. But it's so emasculating to listen to your wife edify your cooking abilities, your multitasking abilities, how he doesn't burn the food anymore, and how he's great at homework and laundry.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was devastating how much I was demeaning him without even recognizing it.
And belittling him.
Oh, totally.
Displacing him.
Yep.
Wow. Has he ever shared with you how that made him feel?
After First Steps to Success, the first one was the first time that we had really looked at it through correct lenses. Because in our circle at that time, that was accepted. That was what the men did. It wasn't out of the norm.
Wow. So you were in a culture of people that did the same thing with their husbands.
Absolutely. And to where it was just, whatever you need to do to support each other to have the end goal, that's what was most important. And the interesting thing is these people, they preached God's name and his word so much that it seemed safe. It seemed like, who am I to even question that? Because they have far more knowledge. And yet it could not have been further from what
the Bible says. The Bible says.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow, Taryn, I'm excited. When we return back from this short break, we're going to hear what the results are of that revelation of emasculating a husband, putting him in a role that was not helpful and conducive to his manhood nor the marriage, but kind of living a facade, thinking that everything's okay, and yet everything's clearly not okay. Have you found yourself in a similar situation that Taryn was in? That even though deep down in your spirit, you know what you're doing is not the way to go, but you're still heading in that direction? Stay right here and you'll hear the result of learning a new perspective, what it brought into Taryn and James's life. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue after this.
Taryn's story has a happy ending, but you might be shocked at how she got there. Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Put the Dani Johnson Show to work for you by advertising your product or service. The Dani Johnson Show has tens of thousands of listeners who are just like you. People who need what you're offering but just don't know it yet. Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on The Dani Johnson Show. To promote your products and services on The Dani Johnson Show, email john@danijohnson.com or call 866-760-8255. In your face and in your corner. You've never had a coach like this before. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Are you on track or off track? Taryn Leiker thought she was right on track. Until. Taran, tell us what happened. Here you had emasculated your husband. You turned him into a woman, turned him into a mother, even said the words, he'll make a much better mother than I would, and I'm much better at making lots of money. You came to First Steps to Success, and what happened?
When we entered those doors, we knew everything was broken, but we had no idea what to fix because we didn't know where it was broken. And so when we listened to First Steps to Success, it was very clear everything had to change. And so we walked out and said, all right, it's time to just clean the slate and start fresh. And so immediately got our priorities in line, put God first, put James second, put the kids third, and then our business. And clearly that had become our idol and our God, and it was number one. And so I said, okay, that can go on the back burner because the other three areas really need some work. And so we got our priorities in line, and I started doing dishes. I started doing the cleaning. I started scrubbing my own toilets. I started to do everything that I should have been doing for so long. And it wasn't out of that's what the woman needs to do. It's out of my heart needed humbled. Yeah. And I needed to let go of the entitlement that I felt with all of that being done for me. And so shrunk a few items in the laundry, but they got done. And I looked at time secrets and reallocated everything based on priorities. And just really went to work 20 hours a week and did not go over that in any way, shape, or form. And I was scared at first, but I said, you know what I've been doing is not getting the results that I want. And I believe in what is being said to me. I believe that there's a different way, and I believe in the results that I've seen and heard from other people. And in our marriage, I turned the finger around. Instead of pointing the finger at James, I started to take responsibility and say, what's your part in this? Yeah. How do you need to change? Don't you dare point at him until you fix you. Yeah. And thank God for gems, because learning personalities, we now know how to communicate and bring out the best in our kids. And we've been able to pay off $84,000 due to war on debt, but we've increased our assets by $330,000. Wow. And it just goes to show you, because we, our efforts have been multiplied. Mm-hmm. And I heard something at First Steps to Success. If you truly want financial freedom and financial stability, take care of the poor. Mm-hmm. And that really resonated with me. And so James and I set out to build 5 homes. And we had done that in less than 2 months.
5 homes for who, Taryn?
5 homes for the extreme poor in Nicaragua. We wanted to take what we had been given and allocate that properly, because it's not even ours to begin with, Mm-hmm. And our kids watched us do that. And I said, this is something we need to implement as a family, and listen to grooming the next generations, and had a conversation with our children. And my 11-year-old daughter at the time said, if you can do it, I can do it. And she said, we're going to build 5 homes for the extreme poor in a year. And I didn't doubt her, but it was so big. How could she? Yeah. I didn't want to limit her. But last night, they actually completed all 5 homes in 7 months. So total, because of just having that vision and listening to directions, 11 homes for the extreme poor of Nicaragua have been built in less than a year. And I love what my daughter said last night, because my grandmother, my 77-year-old grandmother said, "Are you just so proud that you're done with this?" And she goes, "I am so glad that this part is done, but this is just the beginning, Grandma. There's bigger things to come." And I was so proud of her heart.
Wow. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So just to kind of recap on what I've heard you say, you took advantage of first step success, which then led you to really wanting to manage your time. And you realized that your time was out of whack. You were working 80 to 100 hours a week. You wanted to shrink that time. You wanted to become a mother and a wife, as well as being able to maintain your business life. So you got a hold of the training series called Time Secrets, and you started to follow the directions and the roadmap of Time Secrets of how to juggle all of that of a mom, a wife, a caretaker of the home, as well as a powerhouse businesswoman. And Time Secrets taught you how to cut your hours back to 20 hours a week. War on Debt taught you how to pay off $84,000 worth of debt. This all happened in this last year. And increase your assets by over $300,000 at the same time of paying off $84,000 worth of debt. And Grooming the Next Generation for Success, a home study course. You also followed that, and you learned how to now impart into your children the kind of skill sets that they will need to succeed in the marketplace and in the home. And in doing that, they were inspired by your guys' example of taking care of the poor and building 5 houses for the extreme poor. Your children have also now started a business, and they have raised enough money, earned enough money to build 5 houses for the extreme poor. That is a complete renovation of a life. Your husband is no longer the mother. You're the mother. He's no longer the wife. You're the wife. Your life is in order, and you're being blessed because of it. Taryn, thanks so much for joining us today and inspiring us. What a powerhouse of a story. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your freedom, your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
So 4 years ago in July, we showed up to our first Dani Johnson event, our first steps to success. And we were completely desperate in every area of our life. At the time, I thought it was just because of our finances, but then I figured out pretty quickly that it was because of my lack of people skills that we were where we were. We sat in the front row. We got fast track, and we sat in the front row right in the center next to some amazing people because we were so hungry, so desperate, so broken, and I pretty much cried through the entire event, honestly. And when she did the War on Debt, which she will show you, this afternoon, I went back immediately and got it. She had just started talking. I heard a couple stories, and I was like, if they can do it, I know we can do it. So we went back and got it and listened to it on the way home in the car, because we drove from Michigan all the way to Missouri. So we listened to it in the car, and when we got home, we immediately got our papers out. We wrote down our plan, and we started applying it. And within 14 months, we paid off over $62,000 worth of debt. We never in a million years thought that was possible. There's so much that has happened in the last 4 years, and I'm the person that wants the results immediately. I don't like the process of getting there. I want to just get there. But I've learned to appreciate the process over the last 4 years, and just seeing the transformation that has happened in us. Personally, we individually experience different things, and we experience a lot of things together. I was paying our bills. I was completely disrespectful to my husband and didn't really know how bad it actually was. And So that part of our life is still improving. I can say we're a work in progress. It takes time, and we have grown so much.
We showed up. My wife, I didn't know this at the time, but she was battling thoughts of suicide. I had no idea. I thought I was being a perfectly good husband. I did my best to serve her, be a great guy. But what she needed was somebody who would step up and be a leader in our marriage. That's not who I was. And I was totally emasculated, physically emasculated by, there's someone in our church, the pastor. And so we felt the brokenness of a church, having to leave and just hurt, and devastated. One of the biggest breakthroughs started in our marriage is when Lucy started being a wife to me. And I, as a leader, I should step up, right? Take action first, be the initiator. She did it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different person. And I can tell you, our marriage has just, it's amazing the difference between her feeling suicidal, me stepping down as a leader, to me taking the initiative and just looking her in the eyes and saying, honey, thank you for allowing me to be your leader. And she just melts every time. This is awesome. So. So let me just tell you this, guys. If you're struggling, or you're broke, you're wondering what your next step is, hey, just take action. Follow those notes that you just took. Take action and do it, because your story is going to be here, and people are going to be inspired by your story. So are y'all ready to take notes? All right, let's do this. Help me welcome Miss Dani Johnson, America's favorite millionaire, to the stage.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Have you ever thought to yourself, man, it would be great if, and fill in the blank, right? Man, it'd be great if I could work part-time but make a full-time salary. Have you ever thought, man, it would be great if we could travel the world together as a family? Man, it would be great if I wasn't just totally nailed down, to this rut that I'm in, and this rut of a job, and this rut of a marriage, and this rut of a life. Have you ever thought that? Hi, this is Dani Johnson. Welcome back to the Dani Johnson Show. This is that show that challenges you to define success for you. To not live somebody else's definition of success, but for you to discover and uncover what your life should be based on your desire, the desire of your heart that I believe your Father in heaven has planted inside of you. There's a destiny that's calling out of you. Have you discovered it? There's a calling in which you have been called since the beginning of the foundations of the world began. Have you answered it? What I love about our next guest, Tim Drisdelle, who is a father, a husband, a man, a brother, a son, a powerful worker in the marketplace, that today his story is going to shock you. Because if you ever put limits on yourself and limits on your family, he's definitely going to challenge you to rethink that narrative, because what you think is may not be. If you actually believe that there's more out there for you, you might want to listen to Tim. Tim, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani. It's great to be here.
So great to see you. So great to be with you. I have loved watching you and your wife and your children live out this crazy dream that you guys are living out. It's shocking to me and so inspiring, and I love what you guys have done. So let's turn back the hands of time. And prior to First Steps to Success, our 3-day seminar that trains everybody that is breathing, men, women, and children, how to live the life they've always wanted to live. Not in this fluffy, inspirational, motivational style, but literally the training, teaching you business skills so that you can make more and with less time, teaching you entrepreneurial skills that we didn't learn in school, teaching you the financial skills that we obviously didn't learn in all the school years, including college, like how to stay out of debt. If you're in debt, how to pay it all off in 5 to 7 years. First Steps teaching all the communication skills that obviously our society has failed to teach us. And yet how we interact with other human beings really determines how much stress or how much harmony we have in our life. You attended that training seminar how long ago?
That was 2 years ago.
2
Almost
years
2 years ago.
How did you hear about us?
Well, we had a bunch of friends in Victoria, Canada, who had been attending your training for a few years, and they kept promoting you to us. But they were so ecstatic that it really put me off. I thought there's something crazy going on. I don't trust you guys. But over time, what happened is, as I looked at their lives, I looked at their businesses, their relationships, their marriages, the evidence was clear. Their marriages were stronger. Their children were being raised in a whole full house. Their businesses, they had traditional businesses, plumbers, carpenters, and they were now operating businesses, multiple plumbing trucks, not just going out and hustling. So I couldn't deny the evidence of the success in their lives. And I thought, if it worked for them, maybe it'll work for me.
And so where were you? What was your life like at that time? How awesome, by the way, that it's by the evidence that you saw in our clients, right? It's the evidence. Yeah. It wasn't just the promotion. It was like, whoa, wait a second. These people are different people now. How do I get that? So where were you? What was the quality of your marriage? How did you feel as a father? What was going on with your career and your finances?
Well, we felt all right. We had gone through a marriage near destruction years before and had come through that. We had been in debt and had come through that. And we were sort of living this okay life in Silicon Valley, where I was working as a software engineer. And
let me time you out right there. Let's talk about that. It was okay. Isn't it amazing how we human beings can just settle for okay?
Yeah, it's looking back, it's gut wrenching because everyone else around me is living an okay life. They've got debt, they've got a house, they've got a crappy marriage, they've got kids who are brats. They don't know where they're going or what they're doing. And that's normal. And I started to buy into that.
Wow.
So before coming to First Steps, we had this dream. Natasha and I had this dream to travel. And I can't even look back in time to when it started, but we knew that we were going to do this and we were going to take our kids along. So we had started to equip ourselves with skills, thinking we'll start homeschooling our kids. I'll learn to do some tech stuff that I can take on the road. But honestly, I knew that we didn't have the skills to go and start a business on the road. And I started to become really afraid. We had been living frugally to save the money. And now I had this savings. And I thought, am I really going to go blow this and travel for a year? Shouldn't I do the responsible thing and go get a down payment on a house and maybe a second car and just check out at work? I actually started to believe this, and we tiptoed towards the line, and I knew there was a fork in the road.
Yeah.
So we came to First Steps to Success, and very, very quickly, you blew away the idea that I was not in sales. I thought, I'm not in sales. Yeah, and suddenly I start to realize I'm in sales with my wife, my kids, my boss, my colleagues, everyone. And then by the end of that weekend, it was so powerful. I came to a deep belief that I can make more money, but I can't make more time. And now's the time to go and get our vision and go and succeed on this goal that we had. It was so clear coming out of that weekend. We'll be okay in the future. I've got to knock this dream out of the park now.
Because your kids are only their age right now. You know what I mean? Like if you do what most people do, they wait till when? After retirement. After they've got grandkids. After they got even deeper levels of commitments to other human beings. And then they can't go. They don't have the money to go. They have too much debt. They mortgage the house for the kids' college tuition. You know what I mean? And so if this was a dream that you and your wife had to travel with the kids, this is the only time to do it.
It's so true. It was so perfect. Everything was aligned and I was getting fearful. But coming out of that weekend, I knew we can do this. Everything has led us to this point in time. Grab this dream. And I tell you, it's like a snowball effect, right? You take that one dream and you deliver on it. The next dream gets easier to do.
Yes. So what did you do? What's the result?
Wow. Coming out of First Steps to Success, we had a new relationship. We dealt with some serious forgiveness from our broken marriage years before. We shed our poverty mentality and believed that we could make more money. And my relationships with my colleagues at work just blossomed. A few weeks later, we went to Dynasty and really got the deep skills. Within a couple of months of that, I got a big promotion at work.
No way.
I started, and just learning how to relate to people instead of putting myself first and saying, this is who I am. I'm going to go out there and be brash and bold and kick down doors. Man, no wonder I wasn't getting anything accomplished or getting promoted. Just go and meet people where they are and honor them. Mm-hmm. There was a great analogy, I think that you shared it, which was if I go to France and walk into a shop and start speaking in English and say, demand that I speak English, why don't you speak English? I speak English. I'm going to go there and I'm going to fumble through broken French and honor them because I'm in their place and I want to build a relationship. I'm going to honor them. So it's this idea of learning to relate to people where they are. Yeah. It was so powerful for me.
Wow. And you being of a personality, obviously, as an engineer, communication skills didn't necessarily come natural to you.
Yeah, I had put myself in a bubble and saying, I'm an introvert, I'm the quiet type, I don't want to talk, I'm just serious. And it was such a shield. Yeah. And I just blew that away and unpacked, and people have seen such a transformation. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I was suddenly put in teams and projects that had high visibility, high profile. I was handpicked to move to new organizations in the company that I was with. And before we left on our trip, this goes to the poverty mentality idea. I was afraid, like I said, but a year later, we set out on our trip. We sold everything we owned, everything, just took backpacks. And I was now afraid. I thought, I'm not getting a paycheck in 3 weeks. Right? My bank account's only going down from here on in. And wouldn't you know it, I answered a LinkedIn request and went to talk to a company who reached out to me. And I just sat there and listened to them. I knew I couldn't go work for them, but I thought maybe I'll go see if I can connect them with people who could fill their need.
Wow.
And
Rich, hold on right there. Yeah, I'm going to pause right here because we got to cut to a break. So just even that came from First Step Success, is learning to become a connector. How amazing that you didn't just go, okay, well, and first of all, good job getting that promotion, using job domination skills to get those promotions, those communication skills, and then having that guy contact you and going, okay, well, I don't want to work for the company, but let me connect them to other people, which again, becoming a connector, being a referrer, like referring other people to other products, services, companies, whatever the need is of the person you're talking to, referring them to that, then this creates higher value in you as the connector, which we're going to hear about right when we come back from the break. What happened after doing that? This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Wait until you hear what happened to Tim next. It'll blow your mind. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
You want to succeed, right? But you do not want to fail God at the same time. There is a way to succeed from a biblical perspective, and it's far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Over 500 scriptures I studied to study money, everything that the Bible said about money. That's in the first couple chapters of Spirit-Driven Success. Not to mention leadership, working with people, growing a career, being used mightily in the marketplace, which is where Abraham, God used him in the marketplace. And Joseph, God used him in the marketplace. Moses, God used him in the marketplace. Daniel, Solomon, really all of the greats of faith, most of the greats of faith throughout the Bible, they all were in the marketplace, and God wants to show you how you can be used mightily by him in the marketplace. Right here, Spirit-Driven Success is where all of my notes are on how you can do that. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Spirit-Driven Success today.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, first steps to success in creating dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in two completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college, and I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role, and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
Change your habits, change your future. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
I know you have got to be so inspired on everything you just heard. Seriously, I'm so inspired. Tim, man, such a great communicator. I'm dying. I'm at the edge of my chair here, or my couch here. Tim, what happened? So this guy from LinkedIn contacts you, and really that honestly could have been the, okay, we're not going to do this. Time to go find a house to rent. I got this job offer. It must be from God. You know what I mean? I mean, that could have been the thing that threw you off of chasing the dream. But what did you do after you started referring them to other resources that they could use? It's amazing.
Blown away by the quality of the relationships, how I was edifying people as I connected them. Wow. And they came to me and said, gosh, it's really terrible that you're going to travel the world with your family. We would love to hire you, but can we put you on contract? For hundreds of dollars an hour, we will pay you just to connect us with people while you travel the world. You can do it from anywhere. I kid you not. I could not believe it.
So it's exactly what you heard at First Steps, that connectors have high value. Whatever. I love it. So So that's the skills that you learn also that we teach in Unlimited Success, right? All the core rapport methodology, the core profit skills. Man, listen, if you're listening right now and you are a man, a father, a son, or a wife, a mother, a daughter, and you do not have that one strategy, there's 15 strategies in the core rapport methodology. He's talking about one strategy that then yielded hundreds of dollars an hour as a contractor so he could still travel the world with his family. Whatever. Keep going, Tim. Sorry. I'm so excited.
I basically, out of almost all, I sold everything I owned, but in my backpack I carried around the world with me was your script book.
Oh my God.
And I'm sitting on a beachside in southern Spain, typing out emails, making a ton of money for 4 hours a week with your script book in one hand. Next week I'm in Monte Carlo, then I'm in Scotland. It was an unbelievable summer of just being a connector.
Wow.
And they kept enjoying it so much that by the time I got to London, I think you were in Iceland or Ireland at the time, the CEO and president flew to London to meet me there and to recruit me and say, you've got to move to San Francisco and head our engineering team.
Oh my God.
What will it take?
And that script book that you had was a script written for sales, and you are a software engineer who said, I'm not in sales, I'm an engineer. So you had to move your head to, no, hold on a second. Everyone is selling something always. And in this case, you're selling your skill set, you're selling your ability, you're selling your knowledge and your contacts in all reality with putting people together. Dang, man, this is amazing. I'm so proud of you that you were able to humble yourself, drop your ego, learn new things, and apply those new things. And using a script book that is literally written for salespeople, like for sales, like real sales professionals. And here you're using that to solidify an insane opportunity for yourself. So the president and CEO flies to London because that's where you're at. Come on. All the time it goes the other way. It's like, we would like you to fly to San Francisco. No, he flies to London to meet you. Tim. Oh my gosh.
I was shocked. I mean, they took Natasha and I out for 2 nights, closed the deal, and a month later we put our travels on hold. We moved to San Francisco. They put us up in a luxury Airbnb for 3 months because they knew we didn't own anything.
Oh my gosh.
Paying me more money than I've ever made in my life. And they bought our tickets back. We were supposed to go on to East Asia for 5 months, and they bought those tickets back from us and said, just stay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't even know where to go from here. I'm in awe. I'm in absolute awe. So, okay.
Well, it's been a winding road since then. I since left that company and decided that wasn't for us. Natasha then pivoted and used your skills. As I left that job, we said, maybe you go to work for our long-term vision for boutique luxury hotels. Within a week, after being out of the marketplace workforce for 8 years, she starts putting her resumes out there and contacting people and using your skills that she learned from you. And now she is a director of a 4-diamond luxury hotel here in Nashville.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm starting in the real estate investing business and so on, but we're using these skills and it's incredible. It's
wow. So you guys said that you had another dream about luxury hotels. Expand on that. Expand on that.
Well, our vision for our 10-year plan and what we really want to do as we get older is to have a small chain of luxury boutique hotels.
Wow.
And that dream seemed so far away as we were getting ready to spend all of our savings and go travel the world, but we knew we had to do that. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't you know it, now she's back in luxury hotels at a high level, operating at a very high level.
Yes.
And I'm doing the real estate investing and the skills that we've learned for business and relationships and networking. I mean, it's this path that's being paved for us.
Yes.
We just had to take the first step.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly what you did. What do you say to the man who is skeptical like you were when everyone was telling you about First Steps to Success, that 3-day business, money, and relationships seminar, and Creating a Dynasty, our leadership conference that just drives all of that material even so much deeper? The guy that's skeptical like you were, what do you say to him who just finished hearing you talk about what happened with your story and the things you learned and what you applied. And he's still skeptical.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is the results don't lie. There are so many testimonials from real people from such a variety of skills and backgrounds and professions, housewives, network marketers, engineers, chiropractors, realtors. And you can see folks who were doing okay, folks who were really struggling, who've been transformed. I mean, just listen to the testimonials. They keep breaking down my skepticism. Yeah. That, and to be perfectly honest, Dani, money back guarantee. When I went to my first steps, I said, well, worst case is money back guarantee.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
if you don't learn something new, if you don't learn something that is applicable at First Steps to Success, you get your money back. No questions asked. You just have to give us the full 3 days. Give us the full 3 days. You can't judge the book by its cover on page 1 of the first hour, page 2 the second hour. You got to go through the entire thing. And when you go through that entire workshop and you come away and say, I didn't learn a single thing, none of this applies to me, I've heard it all before, no, this is not what I expected, it's totally useless, we will absolutely give you your money back. Because why? We are confident that if you are there with an open mind and you are there with your ego in the right place, you have the opportunity to learn things that you just never even thought of before. And it's presented in such a way where it's so applicable. Tools that you actually start to use immediately. Immediately. The tools that are being put in your hand, they are so simple that third graders are using them. Teenagers are using them. 5-year-olds are using them. We just actually heard of a story of a 3-year-old that is using the communication skills. By the way, similar communication skills that Tim was just talking about. So there is no excuse for your life to stay okay. There's no reason for it to stay where it's at. And there's no reason for you to shelf a vision and to decide, well, no one else is going after a dream. Everyone else's kids are brats. Everyone else's marriage is all right. Everybody else's job is okay. So I am doing pretty good because I'm just like them. That is ridiculousness. That's asinine, and that is not the calling on your life. Tim, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing your story. You inspired me greatly, and I know you challenged everybody else as well. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities, and they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Come on, man. We promise you here at Dani Johnson, the Dani Johnson Show, we promise to bring you content, strategies, and we promise to challenge you to find what your definition of success is. Yep. Because you don't want society's definition. And you just heard two amazing, powerful, inspirational stories of people that did not go the status quo version of success. But they're digging down deep and discovering what is their dream, not somebody else's. What is theirs? From Taryn to Tim, powerful stories coming against all odds and rising up, soaring with the eagles, instead of walking around with the chickens. So I challenge you, as they did, both of them. Taryn going from 80 hours a week down to 20 and increasing her income, annihilating debt, restoring a marriage and restoring the rightful order, and having the courage to humble herself, to come off of her high horse of drinking and supping off of the greed machine that's filled with recognition, to finding peace and harmony and great joy, as well as great value in being a wife and a mom and doing what she was made to do. Yes, she's still a powerhouse businesswoman, but that business only gets 20 hours a week. And using that business to fund projects in Nicaragua. Yes, Taran and her family. In fact, we all just came back from Nicaragua together. Her daughter, Reese, who, again, started a laundry detergent business at 12 years old, along with her brother, who's 8, to start a business to make money and to give the profits to the poor. You got to hear about that project. Go to kingsransom.org. Again, that's kingsransom.org, and you'll see right on the homepage 1,000 homes for Nicaragua. Click that link, and you will find the page where you can actually participate. More importantly, your children. That your children would actually be able to participate in something that is so much more meaningful than just more video games, more junk food, and more gossip. That's usually what 12-year-olds are engaged in, but not Reese. Her and her little brother made enough to build 5 homes. You can do something great with your life. Look at Tim, the example he's setting of being owned by nobody, debt-free. Come on. A marriage that is an adventure, a life that's an adventure, and at the same time making more money than he's ever made. All of that is possible if you're willing to do what they did. Learn the skills that are necessary. DestinyGlobal.com has those skills available for you. We have tons of free resources. Get the daily fix and get a hold of First Steps to Wealth. Free copy. It's yours. If you call our office right now, 866-760-8255. Again, 866-760-8255. Your free copy is waiting for you. You pay the shipping to get it to your house. We'll pay for the book. But more importantly, do what these guys did. Man, they jumped right into that 3-day training seminar, getting all the backfill that society and family did not pour into them, but getting exactly the strategies they need to make themselves more valuable at home and in the marketplace. We'll see you at the next First Steps to Success. We'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless. Bye-bye.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been the Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.